My trans son wants to change in the girls' locker room. His school called me in. I refuse to defend him, and he calls me transphobic. So I show him what real transphobia is. Part 2. My son then sees me as a coward. I was going to grant his wish, send him to another school, so he wouldn't associate with the supposed transphobic system of his current school. Well, I have family all over the world because I work in raw material extraction. It's a business that was passed down to me by my father, which I run with various family members, including 2 uncles and 2 cousins, as well as my brother. We don't see each other much. I'm particularly close to my uncle, but he put me in touch with one of my cousins who had moved to Cameroon and was doing back and forth. He was supposed to stay there for business, concerning one of the subsidiaries. He was supposed to stay for about 3 years, until his 2 children finished high school, before returning. When I spoke to him on the phone, he said he would agree to take my son, but would not enroll him in an international school because it's extremely expensive, and he couldn't afford it at the moment. He asked me if I wanted to do it, so I told him no. A Cameroonian school would be just fine for him. It was a real expense for me with the plane tickets and so on. But I bought a ticket, even though it was expensive for me. And in a month, he was supposed to leave for Cameroon. I hadn't talked to him about it, and for the time being, he had decided never to return to his current school. It had been about a week or 2, and I saw him hanging around in his room, doing nothing and dancing to Shakira. I must admit, my empathy for him was really starting to disappear. Maybe 3 days before his departure, I talked about it. I told him that in 3 days I had prepared a trip for him, and he would go to finish his schooling in Cameroon until further notice, at my cousin's there. He was not really in agreement, but I told him he had absolutely no choice, that I would accompany him to the airport, and my cousin would be there to take him, because he was doing a round trip. Then he started begging me, saying he would return to his school the next day. But I told him it was too late, that tickets were going to be bought, that I wasn't doing this to get back at him, but for his own good. It's interesting to discover other cultures. He didn't agree, but I still prepared his stuff. He continued to cry, but my decision was made, so I took him. He met up with my cousin. He was crying, so I asked him to behave decently and to be open-minded. When he saw my cousin, he started to behave properly. There I left him, and haven't seen him since. Maybe 2 days later, I called him. I spoke to my cousin to ask if everything was going well. He then told me, yes, my son was going to be schooled. He had already found the school and was going to introduce them. That's one good thing done. My son refused to answer my calls. Maybe a week later, I called him, and this time he answered. He told me he was sorry for everything, that he wanted to come back as soon as possible, that his school requires him to wear a uniform. Him, on the other hand, who styles his hair like a girl with long hair and a ridiculous outfit. They had forced him to wear his hair short like all the others, as it happens in Cameroon. He begged me to come back. He told me he was suffering from bullying and threats, mockery about his way of speaking, even from his teachers. I told him, well, you see, Kachita, life isn't what you think it is. Not everyone is obliged to accept your little whims. Did you ask if you could change in the girls' locker rooms? No, you didn't, did you? Yet you should try. You won't even need to go through surgery to get your face redone. I think I'm going to leave you there for at least the end of the year. You might be able to come spend the holidays here. And if I see a change and a bit more gratitude in your attitude, then we can discuss you coming back here. For now, I think your trip has done you a lot of good. Like and follow for more. Love you.